last time I had it back here, but the cord's not very long, so I was like, hold on, that's all.
I was big into that, and then you have the streets and tires.
Are you finally ready to come in?
John, you got a backpack or something?
I don't. Okay. After the presser.
Okay. It's in a brown paper bag. It's still on.
Oh, is it for
It
tonight?
still might look suspicious.
Scenery for tonight?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sure.
You don't have to use it though if you don't want to.
No, it's okay. We'll figure it out.
Smart. How are you, Nate?
Doing so good.
When was the last Boise State football press conference you were at?
It's been a long time.
Yeah?
Probably 5 years.
Damn.
At least for a weekly one. I mean, so long ago, I remember when the backdrop was white.
You're hearing me? Okay. So if we put it here, that'll be our audience mic.
I want to hear what it sounds like when you're talking to this.
1, 2, 3. Check. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not too bad. Okay. Sweet.
I can definitely hear the room noise, but
Check, check, check. Troy, you got decent levels. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Sweet.
You like weak side linebacker? Schramm or Hawkins or Simpson?
Is that what it said? Oh, I put DJ Schramm. I didn't realize.
No, I had an or for all three.
Oh, did it really?
No, that's some triple. Three triple.
No, it's at the bottom. Hawkins or Simpson.
That's not all three? You think it's just
No,
Hawkins?
it's just the or in the second one. That's the or for the second spot, yeah.
Corner still have Bamia as an edge.
Oh, it isn't past that.
No, because we got to replace
5 ors. The overhits. The overhits. It was 5. Yeah, that is. Someone slipped and said, "Oh, we got Daniel back or something." Remember who was there?
Yeah, I think it would. Maybe Tom.
Oh, it was Tar.
That would be amazing. So Nate's gonna be our audio.
10th Street Park. Actually, even think I convinced them to get season tickets for football and men's basketball. So yeah, it's not season tickets; they're gonna look at mini plans. So yeah. Even when I was off the clock, it's still working.
what you be on?
Right. Nope, just left there so you get more and some quick hike and saddle and patio.
Sound.
So, yeah.
I feel like there's a battery in here.
That's what I'm starting
Just need to
It was a workout. I don't know because I had class, so they did free every weekend during summer. So it was a workout. I was sitting there not expecting to be that strenuous.
Colin also said
That's what I thought. But I don't know why we would have turned it off.
Not a whole lot, so.
Oh, you know what? I think I have to update here too. Alright, so we can still find it if it's in there. I have it.
Yeah, why would sound terribly?
That's where I'm thinking. Great woodwork through here if we had a fountain toast in the score.
They are, yes.
Which is what the DIY.
Karen and Nathan are coming.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. There's all things.
What about Mark Randy?
Room versus all of them. Yeah, yeah, you do?
So basically, when Andy's done, I'll grab my card and take off. We'll leave all this stuff until we're wrapped.
Click plus. And you can put it in there. Set it over there. Save here. And then
Okay.
yeah, now we don't have table. Indian casinos can't have tables.
Sure they can.
From the stand. No, they can't.
You have the right law?
Or
Sure.
You know the list?
Sure. Yeah, yeah, it's a good question.
Oh, we do. So one or the other.
Well, you can. Where is that?
Yeah, you're good. Well, we can talk more, but yeah, that's
All the ones in Arizona.
to be determined because I don't know what all she'd be able to do.
So I didn't write that.
Yeah. So it's like.
I talked to Joe, I talked to Mike and Joe, and I mentioned something, but I just don't know how to justify it. I don't know how to.
Right. There's a lot of
There's
things.
an official capacity.
Right.
Hey, real quick, just one thing. As, from the top, we're not discussing injuries, there's some season, we'll tell you, just gonna warn you, if you ask a question about injuries, you're gonna get no next question, and you may likely not get your next question answered, so it's just for your own benefit. If there's season ending, we'll let you know. All right.
Bob, do you need a mic check?
Enjoy the season.
Sure thing. Bob, you good? Microphone check. 1 2 3 1 2 3. Cool.
It is here. That's fine. Ooh, yeah. It falls off right there. We ready to roll? Well, let's get this season kicked off here. We've obviously put in a lot of work over the course of the year and Game week number 1 is here. We have a huge challenge in this first week with the opponent and traveling and going on the road. It is a great challenge for us. Coach Smith has done an unbelievable job building that program and the growth over the years and what he's been able to do there. So we have a huge challenge on our hands. We've put in a tremendous amount of work over the course of the year and through fall camp and been able to make a ton of strides in different areas that we've pinpointed all the way from the beginning of the year. And we have one week of prep left to go here, and we're excited to put that work in and get ourselves ready. We'll take any questions from you guys.
Opening the season at Oregon State, a Power 5 opponent, what kind of opportunity do you guys have to really start the season on the right foot?
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, it's who we're playing, and it's how they're coached. It's the personnel. That's where the huge challenge lies. They've done a good job recruiting on both sides of the ball, and they got some really good coaches over there that have been very consistent over the course of the years. And from the offensive standpoint, it's been one of the most productive offenses in college football with their run schemes and the pass game that comes off of the run schemes, and then obviously the multiple formations and personnels that we'll get. We have our hands full. Obviously on the defensive side of the ball for them, Trent Bray is coming in. He finished last year as a defense coordinator, so we have a bit of a preview of as to what they want to do on defense. But I'm sure there's plenty of stuff that they've worked on in the offseason that we have not seen.
Just based on kind of what you saw from last year coming back, that's all you really have to work at. Get to see an exhibition game or something. What do you think their strengths are going to be?
On both sides of the ball? Well, I think definitely up front on their offensive line. Year in and year out, they do an unbelievable job coaching those guys up, and especially within the schemes that they've run with the mid-zone schemes. For years, they've been really good at running the mid-zone schemes, and they got a returning quarterback that has a lot of experience, and he's shown to be extremely effective. They've got tight ends that are coming back that present challenges within obviously the pass game with their length, their size, and their speed. And they got a lot of speed at wide receiver. Defensively, they got a secondary that has a lot of length and is very athletic. And they've got a front that is shown to play physical.
It's been about a month since you last stood at the lectern and talked about fall camp. Said you had a lot of work to do. How much work did you accomplish over the last month? Are you excited where you're at, and how eager are you to see what it all adds up to here?
Yeah, no question. It's been quite some time, huh? It's gone by fast at times for us. Obviously, when you're in the grind of fall camp, you're working to stack up positive days on top of positive days and focusing on the little things that become big things and creating a mentality and a confidence that we're going to be able to build off of. And we're very excited about what we've been able to do in fall camp in all 3 phases. On the offensive side, we've spoken about things all year that we wanted to in areas we wanted to grow in and really be specific about certain areas, whether it be the run game, the pass game, and not just the routes but the protections and making it all come together. Obviously on defense, we've spent a lot of time working certain things that we want to be a lot better at this year and getting our personnel right to execute those things. And we have a new special teams coordinator, so it's been a fun year of putting that together and putting our personnel in the best positions to help us be the best we can on special teams.
Andy, as you stand here today, how much different of a feeling is it than you stood standing here exactly a year ago today? In terms of your growth, the team's growth, the program's growth?
It's night and day. Mike, it's from the standpoint of where the program is and the mentality and the understanding of what it looks like every single day to prepare and to train so that we can be our best. The players have done a really good job of being consistent with that, obviously throughout the program as well. But overall, just from a personnel standpoint as well, we're very confident about where we're at. The guys that we have, the guys that we're developing, the young players that just came into our program, are really excited about those guys and even the progress they've made through fall camp that ultimately help us prepare each and every week from a scout team standpoint.
What did DJ Schramm do to win that spot?
You know what? He showed up every single day and is able to lead, to communicate, to help run a defense. And obviously he's been able to execute his responsibility and do his job at a very high level.
What about Rodney Robinson?
Rodney's done a really good job throughout this camp as well. But you know, these are adjustments that started you know, back in really in the summertime, but even coming out of the spring. Some of these things that we've been working on to get guys comfortable, again, to put the personnel in the best positions possible that fit what we want to get done.
I see it on paper, but did Taylor Green win the number 2 quarterback job?
Taylor Green will be the number 2 quarterback as it sits right now. He's done, again, a really good job from year number 1 to year number 2, and him being comfortable being in the system for the second year. He's done obviously his knowledge of the offense and being able to operate it. It's not just his assignments, it's running the whole show from the time he gets on the field. A lot of that has to do with his preparation and how that's grown, and he's going to continue to need to make strides in how he prepares so that he could keep growing throughout the season. We all know that the backup quarterback does not get as many reps throughout the course of the year as they do in camp. So what he does in his preparation is going to be huge to continue to grow. Sam did a really good job too. I mean, that thing was neck and neck. We feel really confident about that room and overall where they're all at right now.
Does that cover for Taylor? Does that cover all situations as you're going into the season now, or could it be fluid and maybe Sam could be number 2?
Right now, TG is the backup quarterback.
Your relationship with Jonathan Smith, you guys were here together a couple of years. Is he a guy maybe you've kept in touch with or share some of the same Coach Peterson philosophies? What's your relationship like with Coach?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously have the utmost respect for Jonathan. He's done, again, like I said, he's done an unbelievable job building the program there, and the way they play, the way they operate. Obviously, he is, you know, from an offensive standpoint, he has an unbelievable offensive mind, and because of that, you can see the production, you know, that their offense has had here in the last, you know, as long as he's been there. It's always a challenging offense to go against.
Holani and Cobbs are both listed as returners. As a coach, how do you balance wanting to get the ball in your best players' hands and wanting to keep them healthy?
Well, I think at the end of the day, the number one deal is how many times are we going to get touches with our best players when they have the ball, the guys that are the best with the ball in their hands, just like we have with Shaq, just like we have with Avery in the past.
I guess we see Ashton Genty at number 2. Not a huge surprise based on what you guys have said about him. But what did you like about him coming in to earn a backup spot right away? And you don't go beyond 2, but who else do you see you know, contributing there at running back?
Yeah, so I mean, Ashton has been extremely consistent since he stepped foot on campus here. Now, this is, you got to remember, you know, back in January, he's a young man leaving high school early, and he's, you know, it's been a huge learning curve for him. But what he brings to the table is the maturity of his body from a physicality standpoint, a speed standpoint, and at the end of the day, the guy loves to run the football, and he can do multiple things out of the backfield as well. We're really excited about, you know, where he's at. Obviously, there's a lot of growth that needs to continue within his game. And, you know, with that, T. Crow's done a nice job as well. Elion has done a really good job coming in here just before fall camp has started. And, you know, for a room that lacked a little bit of depth starting fall camp, and we really needed some guys to compete and raise their level of play to build that room up. It's really been a good fall camp. Caden Dudley has done a nice job as well, you know, moving from wide receiver and playing some tailback for us. So, you know, we feel good about the depth there and the amount of guys and what they can do.
Seems like Markel Reed looks like he won the other cornerback job, a very competitive deep field there. What was the difference for him?
You know what, Markel, you know, obviously coming off of last year, just getting back in rhythm. You know, Mike, it's about getting back on that bike and getting rolling again and just getting reps. And we had a very specific plan for him in the beginning of fall camp of how we were going to build him up. What drills was he going to do? How many reps is he's getting? And we've been on a steady pace, you know, up until this point to get him ready, you know, for obviously week number 1.
You could obviously go 3 or 4 or 5 deep at that position on either side. What is the plan for rotation there?
You know what, I mean, throughout the course of the game, obviously the starters are down right there, but we do feel confident in the other guys that are behind them and them being able to step in and play. And obviously being able to use guys at different positions as well.
With a guy like George, you know, we were talking with Tim a month ago. He was talking about, you know, having George on a pitch count at times last year, not having to worry, you know, about that this year. How much more will he be able to help the offense when you're not having to worry about when and how that you have to use him?
Well, I'll say this again, it comes down to the depth of the room as well, right? And the confidence of within the room of being able to put other guys in there and to be able to execute. We all know what the numbers say when George is in the game and when George gets a certain amount of touches. And obviously that's a tremendous help to have George be able to go. We are in a little bit different situation starting off last year and going into this first game. And it's really nice to see 24 out there all the time.
What type of confidence have you seen in his game at practice, and where is he at as he approaches a big year?
You know what? I mean, I'll tell you what, George is pretty steady now. I mean, what you see is what you get all the time. And he is, you know, you talk about being a competitor. He's the type of guy that you got to pull back sometimes, which you would want it that way instead of trying to get a guy going. And so obviously he's going to have as we all will, we'll have a huge challenge in this first week with, you know, the amount of starters coming back on the defense that we're about to face. And, you know, we're excited, though, about where he's at and the things that he's done throughout this fall camp.
What are the keys to slowing down Chance Nolan?
Well, I mean, as always, it's a game of rhythm, right? So being able to disrupt rhythm and be able to get the offense off the clock, get them off pace. I mean, that's always a huge part of it. And I think that's what's been a big part of the success of this offense is their ability to operate and stay on schedule and move in and out of different formations, different looks, use different personnels. But the quarterback's got to be able to handle that. And obviously Chance has shown that all throughout the end of last season when he became the guy. And you know, obviously that's visible too in the spring film that we're able to see.
Bringing in James Ferguson Reynolds from Australia, and he wins the punting job right away. What did you see from him, and that style that he brings is obviously new to fans around here, I guess, for a little while. How's that going to help you guys? Or what do you think?
Yeah, so you know, we talk about it all the time. The hitting yardage within the game is a big deal. You know, it's not something a lot of people focus on, but field position is a huge part of this game, and what that brings with a guy like James is obviously a huge advantage and a huge plus to our overall team. And obviously with his skill set and some of the things he can do, I mean, it brings a lot of energy to the team too, knowing that we have a guy that can punt the ball the way he does.
Getting back to what Prater was responding to one of his questions about, you know, we talked about the foundation of this thing quite a bit during the offseason. What over the last month has kind of given you the confidence that everything is right where you want it to be? Is it you know, comes to the blueprint, foundation, DNA, whatever it is?
It is definitely the way the guys prepare, the relentlessness that they've practiced with, the physicality that they've practiced with consistently, the competition at practice, what it means to compete each and every day within each and every period of practice, whether it's a group period, one-on-ones, whether it's a team period, the different situations, the knowledge within the different situations that we've seen throughout camp and that we've presented the team with. And obviously the preparation that goes into being able to do that, whether that's the work we've done in the summertime in the weight room and how we trained, and not only how we trained, but the amount of discipline that we created while we were training, because it goes hand in hand. You know, obviously the mental controls the physical.
You mentioned the weight room plenty the last couple of months. I know you brought Reed Kagi over from Oregon. What impact has he made? What makes him special in terms of a strength and performance coach?
Well, I think like we just spoke about, it's not only the physical development, it's the mental development that goes with it. We've made a huge emphasis on the attention to detail, no matter what space we're in this building. So whether we're lifting, whether we're training, how we do things is everything. And the competition of which we put into every space in this building, whether it be the weight room, the meeting rooms, or obviously on the practice field, has helped us raise the level of urgency, you know, every single day. And the guys know what it is. The coaches know what it is. Every day we come here, there's a certain level of urgency that is expected so that we can compete at the level that we want to.
After
back in the off season and did you adjust any of your philosophies or how you manage a game from the sidelines as a head coach?
We'll have to see.
I know it's just 1 out of 12 games, but is there something special about the first game and just how it kind of sets the tone for the season maybe?
Well, I think the special thing about the first game is we get to play somebody else. We've done a lot of work against each other over the course of the year, and the excitement of that. Obviously, having a huge challenge like we do, in the first week on the road, that puts a lot into it as well. But at the end of the day, it is still always about us. It is about the detail of which we prepare and which we train, and we finally get to play a game. So there's been a lot of work put in throughout the course of the year, and I think that's the excitement of it.
I know you didn't schedule this game, but do you like this way where instead of having like an easy bye game in week 1, do you guys typically here play a big game in week 1 and right out of the gate you got to be at your best? I mean, do you like that?
Yeah, I mean, we got to be at our best every single week here. Every single week in and week out. Again, it is about us and us being at our best, whether that be in summertime training, fall camp. It's very consistent.
Where is Hank different mentally and physically right now?
Obviously, there's a lot of experience, just like any of us coming out of year number 1 together as a program and within our operation, whether it be off the field or on the field. It's the experience that he's gained, and experience is learning from the past and applying to the future of what we've learned. And we've spoken a lot about the things that we pinpointed where we wanted to grow, whether it's from a mental or a physical standpoint of his role on the team. And he's done a really good job, and he's had some really good performances this fall camp. And the biggest thing to note is even when there were times of lulls, how he pulled and got the offense back on track, which was awesome to see. And that's going to be a big part of the season. It's a long season, one game at a time. And everything is not always going to go perfect, but it's about how we respond and get ourselves back on track. And that's where we want to continue to see improvement, and we've seen a lot of improvement there.
From your perspective, what are the expectations for a fourth-year starting quarterback?
The leadership standpoint, right, of what we're talking about. It's now we understand how we need to lead ourselves, and this is a game of not being perfect. He's not going to be perfect. I'm not going to be perfect. Nobody's going to be perfect. But it's now about using the experiences and how do we respond in situations where we know we need to adjust, where we need to be better. And obviously, like we spoke about, the leadership standpoint. How does he bring the guys along with him and put confidence into those guys just like a coach would?
From the beginning of camp until now, is there one position group that you think maybe has improved the most?
Oh, that's a tough one because we've seen a lot of growth, across the board. And again, we're not just talking about offense and defense. We're talking about special teams too. And so really liked what the wide receiver group has come together, with Hank and the tight ends and the different things that they're doing there. Overall, just from last year to this year, the course of the year, the O-line has done a tremendous job growing. And so we're really excited about that from that standpoint. Obviously, having more depth on the defensive front as well, and being able to develop guys, and even the guys that are returning or the guys that came into our program where we were at in the springtime, with even guys like Scott, to new guys that came in the program like George, and Cortez and Herb Gums. Herb Gums looks nothing what he looked like last year, and he's got to continue to keep growing, as we move forward day by day. But the overall growth altogether, I mean, we can talk about position group by position group, all day, and we're not exactly where we want to be yet, but we're at a really, really good spot. Yeah, he's back at playing edge, and his experience of getting some inside linebacker work in certain situations is going to pay forward in other packages when we do other things.
With a guy like Devin Wright, we've heard that he's had a pretty good fall camp. He's still pretty young. How's he coming along?
He is, and he's developed a ton. You know, here's another guy that we were talking about that was new here in the spring, right? And from what he looked like in the springtime to where he's at right now, and the role he'll be able to play and contribute to this team, we're excited about where he is to start the season. And, of course, this is a long season. You know, if you think about a guy like Isaiah and where he was last season to start the year as an edge player and where he finished and what he looked like, the growth he even had over the course of the year is the same track that obviously we would hope not only for Dev but for everybody in general.
Skill set and stuff, kick returner versus punt returner, what's the difference in terms of what you're looking for there, and why would maybe a guy like George's skill set, why do you have a punt returner instead of, say,
I think the biggest thing when it comes to those two is being able to field the punts. That's a different deal, right? That's a different skill set than fielding a kickoff. And that is, I think any team, any year, that is always, that's a skill set in its own right there.
Where have you noticed Tim Plough year 1 to year 2, maybe in his growth as a coach?
Yeah, no question. And not only with Coach Plough, but with all the coaches on our staff. But obviously he is going into his second year here. The thing that I love the most is the vision he has for our offense and the way he's organized our offense, and the confidence that is within our offensive players and our offensive staff right now. In our scrimmages, I've been really pleased with the in-game adjustments that have been made within our scrimmages and the different looks at the defense, gave our offenses going into certain scrimmages, and how we've adjusted and how we've used, the offense that we've put into place to create opportunities for ourselves within game.
You don't have a ton of underclassmen on the depth chart. Latrell Caples is one of them. Why is he ready to obviously make a big jump?
It's awesome to see Trell out there. You know, he's done a tremendous. We didn't get to see a lot of him in the springtime, right? But he's an extremely explosive player, and let me tell you, he's made some really nice catches throughout this fall camp, and has been very consistent with his play and what he is doing. So it's going to be awesome. I'll tell you what, Trell is a guy that is dear to my heart, just from the standpoint of when we got here last year and his growth overall, and development overall as a person, and how he handles his process of preparing, and how he comes here every single day. I mean, it's been awesome to see his growth, and I'm really excited to see him over the course of this year get his opportunities to continue to grow and obviously have an impact.
Is there an example of something he did during that time that really made you grow fond of him?
You know what? I think just the way he's, you go to college, and obviously we're in the world of college football, so a lot of times all we get to see is what these guys do on the field, and the catches or the runs or the blocks or the tackles or the interceptions and those things. But just from the standpoint, and there's plenty of other guys too, but just Latrell's overall growth, as a young man, and how he has and how that has obviously helped him in football. The growth off the field typically helps guys grow on the field. And so we're excited to see him just continue to grow, and not only, obviously how he's impacted himself, but how he's impacting others around him, how he's able to communicate, how he's able to lead and bring guys with him.
With Dirk Cutter and Ron Collins, what are the rules? Do they get to travel, and are they in the box or on the field, or are they back here watching TV? Or?
Yep, all of the above.
I kind of say this jokingly, but if you hit the snooze button even once, are you beating George Charles to the football facility?
We usually show up here about the same time. We see each other in there a lot in the mornings. We're both working on certain things, getting our bodies right and getting ready to go for the day. But yes, he is here very consistently. Pretty.
You talked to him about meditation. I mean, we talked to him for 11 minutes, and hardly any of it was actually about football. How impressive is it how far he's going to check a bunch of other boxes?
Yeah, I mean, there's another example of a young man that came into our program earlier this year, and again, we're going to see the type of player he is on the field, but the amount of growth. And here's the biggest thing, whether it be Latrell or George, the biggest growth is because they've opened up to wanting to grow. They've opened up to the things that, we're working to build into this program, and that we talk about within that foundation. And it's not just about football, it's about who we are and how we're all growing. And George has done a tremendous job coming into this thing with an open mind and a unbelievable care factor of, I want to be here, I'm grateful for being here, and a willingness to learn, even though he's an older player. And that's why, you know, George has been able to do things, whether it's how he handles his body maintenance, you know, at 6 a.m. every single morning, at 5:45 every single morning, or how he gets his mind right. You know, it's pretty impressive to see that a guy has that willingness to learn and grow.
When you're taking somebody for 1 year grad transfer, what do you look for? I mean, is there something that may be different than somebody that would be transferring who had, say, 3 years?
Well, much like we're talking about right now, a guy's got to have the capability to learn pretty fast. So, yeah, we can't always just fall in love with a certain skill set. We've got to figure out, how does this individual learn? How is this individual going to immerse himself into the environment that we have here? Is he going to buy in? Is he going to spend the extra time to study and learn what it is that we're doing here and how we're doing it here? And those are all critical factors when you only get a guy for 1 season.
With your offensive line, I feel like we could have kind of pegged this starting five, you know, at the beginning of this thing, despite the fact there was competition there. What are you most excited, or what excites you most about that group?
You know what? Just how they've worked together, and their passion for what we're doing right now on offense. The certain things we're doing within the run game, and obviously in protecting the quarterbacks. And they take great pride in what they do. It's going to be obviously a game-by-game, one day at a time process as we work through this season. But the biggest thing that we want to be able to see is for them to keep their urgency in how they prepare every single day, because we know what it is to play offensive line and defensive line. There's no hiding on a play. Whether it's at practice or in a game, it's a physicality. It's a physical nature every single play, and they've improved their mindset along with their confidence. And obviously, we'll have a huge challenge this week with all the, you know, the returning guys that Oregon State has on their defensive front.
There's a new appeals process for second half targeting calls.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you've maybe talked to other coaches about this in the offseason, but in your opinion, how consistent and accurate have those calls been across the board, and how much more comfort does it give you knowing that you can appeal that call?
Yeah, I mean, the appeals process, and I think if you go through and study the data that shows on the plays that get reviewed, very few of them get overturned. So the appeals process is put in place for different reasons. But the calls that have been made on the field, the statistics show that they don't get overturned very much. But there is the opportunity to always appeal going forward.
And the opportunity to play a Pac-12 team. I mean, you guys have history with the Pac-12. Geographically, there's a lot of relevance. There's realignment and everything going on right now. What does it mean for this program to get a shot at a Pac-12 team?
You know what, to have the opportunity to play in general is just, that's the focus right now. And I'll tell you like this, like, we have a huge challenge in front of us with specifically the team that we're playing. And I'll be honest with you, we don't go a lot into the conference of which this particular team is in or anything like that, because we're so focused on what they do and their personnel and who they are. We got, you know, that's enough to keep us busy with that. And, you know, we're lucky. The benefit of it is that we have a bonus week, and obviously we have this week to continue our preparation, which we'll obviously need.
Is Sam Vidlak a resource you might consider for intel on Oregon State, considering he's been with that program and the staff has pretty much stayed the same?
Right, yeah. So, I mean, obviously having players, not only Sam that was in that program, but, you know, having guys that have played against that team, you know, this team on our roster, all those things, the familiarity that they bring and the understanding or the experience they have is a resource.
Last question.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck, Coach.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you, man.
5% upgrade, so he's gonna get 10 points.
Yeah, I really thought we were going to North Texas with 4 more points. We were laughing so hard. I was embarrassed.
I didn't notice that I went up to the cage. I wasn't quite embarrassed. They can't do some change. I hear you, yeah.
Good afternoon, guys. Somber audience today. What's up, guys? What's up, Jay? Highly focused. Love it. Game week. Game week. Hair's getting long, Ron. I like it. No doubt. No doubt. I live with my barber, so it makes it easy. Yeah.
I'm the guy that always says I'm going to go every 2 weeks, but then I go like every 2 months.
No question. No question.
What did DJ do to win the spot there?
Yeah, DJ is just that guy that is such a diligent learner, loves football, and he obviously played a lot of football for us last year. Really played primarily Mike. He would get in there and spill Zeke a little bit, but he started playing a lot more as the year went on because he's a very quick learner, especially what we do schematically. We put a lot in those guys, and so he's high football IQ, good tackler, and seeing him grow. This is really the first off season he's had where he hasn't had to get surgery and miss. So, and Coach Kagan and his staff did a great job with him from the spring to the fall, and he just really stepped up. And he's one of our better players on defense, and ended up winning the job, and he's doing a great job.
Same question about Rodney Robinson. When did you win that job?
Yeah, I think just the same. I mean, it's the discipline and how you do everything. Obviously, just like all these guys, we're going to keep growing from week 1 to week 2. But he really stood out in regards to how much he's really picked up, how he studies, how he preps. And that's been a testament to a lot of our older guys in the room, Tyreek Jones, JL, helping him, show him how to keep growing. And Shea Oladipo is going to play a ton too. I mean, those guys are going to continue to battle it out because they've both had really good fall camps.
Rodney's a smaller guy in stature, but how does he make up for that on the field?
He's a very savvy football player. He plays tough, plays bigger than he is. Obviously very explosive, but he also with how he understands the game, he plays very fast, which you need to when you're undersized. And so it's been cool to see him grow from not only just being a savvy football player, but now how I can be savvy within the scheme to do my 111th. And he's had a really good fall camp. But like I said, Shea Oladipo's had a good fall camp too, and they've been battling it out. So excited to see both of them continue to do that.
Isaiah can obviously play the edge position, but moving him back, was that just more because you had the good depth at the linebacker?
Yeah, Isaiah's such a he had a great fall camp, and it was great getting him all that work at will. He's obviously one of our better pass rushers and does a great job of setting edges. So you are gonna see Isaiah in a lot of different roles, and he's gonna be a huge part of what we do on defense. With DJ stepping it up as well as Brandon Hawkins and Andrew Simpson at will, we felt like at this point we feel good about that position. And so Isaiah is gonna be playing a lot, and he's gonna be in a lot of different spots. So the position versatility that he's at now, we can get in a lot of different packages and put him in a lot of different situations.
How much more confident are you about your defensive talent setting up today as you were last year?
Yeah, I think it's just with this group. Obviously, we've got some new faces. We got a good group returning. Just like anything, you after season, you look at, okay, where do we need to grow? How do we need to get better? Seeing our team, our staff work on that in spring ball, work on that in summertime, work on that in fall camp. I think to this point, I'm just really excited to go see our guys compete. And that's really our message to them. Like, obviously, the work's not done. We're going to keep working all the way till kickoff. But I'm just really excited to see our guys go cut it loose and compete. And I am confident. I'm confident because of the work they've put in. Now I'm excited to see them put it on a big stage.
You look at that boundary quarterback spot. Caleb won it, but it looks like Jalen Clark is listed as backup.
Mm-hmm.
What has Jalen done to work his way into a potential role there?
The biggest thing for Jalen was him growing just his habits. How he did everything, how he prepped, how he studied, how he took care of his body, because he's got all the physical tools. Long, can run, great kid, picks up football very well. So it's just his habits of how to,
and how to transition them quickly on the field. If my technique changes on defense, if that number 2 receiver flies to my side, and Coach Warren's done a great job with him taking the skill set he has and then now having him play within the scheme. And he's had a really good fall camp. Obviously, I can't say enough about Caleb Biggers and the growth he's had, and excited to see him this Saturday.
It seems like Oregon State always has some crazy running back who goes for 1,400 yards. They lose Baylor, but bring in some other guys. What do you see from their running back position?
Yeah, I mean, from the bottom of my heart, I have the utmost respect for what they do offensively. Obviously, they had a great year offensively last year, but even more to what they do in the run game. I think their offensive line coach is one of the best in the business in regards to dealing with different fronts, different pressures, different looks, and having answers. They always find a way to have answers and get in the right call. And so the tailbacks obviously do a great job with making them right. And just like a great program, they're going to find a way to put a tailback, even if they lose someone, put them right in. And number 5 is a great runner, and they've got depth there as well. So got a lot of respect to what they do up front, and they do a great job not just with the O-line tight ends. They'll bring the receivers in the run fits and their physicals as all get out as well. So hats off to what they do just from a whole picture offensively, but especially in the run game.
You look at, Kelly was telling us that you guys are basically calling the defensive end and the edges.
Yep.
How much, there are a lot of guys on this depth chart that weren't here last year.
Yeah.
How much did you guys make an effort to rebuild that position, and how do you feel about it, going into this season?
Yeah, that position is paramount to our success on defense, just like the majority of the defense in the country, because on the edge, obviously, in the run game, you want to set edges. You can play in a box, and then when it goes high-hat pass, you need those guys to go get after the quarterback. So having those guys play at a high level is paramount. And then with guys either we've lost, obviously losing Shane over the summertime to injury, bringing in these guys and having them grow and step up. Coach Pop, Coach Avalos have done a great job with them this, once again, spring ball to fall camp to now, that I feel really confident in who they are. Obviously, they still got room to grow just like everybody else on our team, but they've had a really good fall camp. And now, just like anything, I'm excited for them to keep prepping, and I'm excited to see what they do on Saturday.
I kind of say this jokingly or whatever, but have you ever had to compete with a guy like George Charles to see who gets into a building first?
I'll tell you what, George is probably the first one here every single day, and I knew that in the springtime when he'd be like, Coach, how early are you getting here? I'm like, George, don't worry about it. I'll be here before. And he's like, and then he was waiting for me one of these days. I think it was like 4:45 out there this spring. I said, hey, you got me. Okay. So we had a little competition going on, but he preps. He understands what it takes to play this game. He's been doing it for long enough, obviously, as a senior. He knows what his body needs to be ready for practice as well and to be ready to compete at a high level. And so not only does he do that for himself, once again, he's helped some of the other guys know this is what it takes to play this position, because you're in the fight every single snap.
How similar or different did Weber State use into what our defense?
We've used, I think, in similar ways. We do a lot with them, even in regards to dropping them, blitzing them, putting him in. I think we put him in different situations than Weber did, but a lot of similarities.
Have you ever talked, meditation and all this stuff that he really focuses on a lot of stuff that feeds to his
Yeah. We haven't talked so much about meditation, more just the mental makeup it takes in regards to like visualizing plays and how to win the game before you even step on the field. We've talked a little bit about that. We've talked different podcasts and things that he listens to just to put your mind in the right state. And I think because it's going to go one of two ways. And I think sometimes either the music you listen to or what you feed into your mind and your soul is going to affect you. And he knows that at a high level. He's very acute to what his body needs from a physical standpoint, even mentally. And so we've had some really good conversations, even talks about different books and stuff like that. So excited for George.
He seems like a guy who realizes like the next step in professional football and wants to milk every ounce of his talent and potential to see how far he can go with that.
No question.
Have you seen that since he got here?
Absolutely. And that's, we had that conversation even with recruiting him, where he knew there's a lot of different things that went into it, but one of the main reasons was he wants to be developed, wants to win championships, wants to do it in Boise, but he wants to be developed to have a shot to go play at the next level. And seeing him operate from the second he walked on campus in January, he has shown that is a huge desire of his heart. It's easy to talk about, right? You ask anybody who want to play in the NFL, they're all going to raise their hand. But for him, seeing him put the work in to hopefully put himself in that situation. Obviously, time will tell, but he's worked his tail off to put himself in that spot.
What type of season can Dimitri have? What's his ceiling?
I mean, similar to a lot of our guys, man, it has been great to have Dimitri healthy for a whole offseason. Spring ball, summer, fall camp. I think this is one of the few spring balls he's been able to actually go the whole thing through. You know, last spring ball, he wasn't healthy with his ACL till really right at the start of fall camp. And so it's been awesome to see his development with a full offseason with Coach Kagi. And like I said, Coach Pop, Coach Avalos, like they've done a great job with developing Dimitri because he can do a ton with us. You guys know how much we use that edge position and where we line him up, where we put him. And so I'm excited for him. Like I said, I can't testament to what an individual player is going to do this year because at the end of the day, that's why you play the game. But I do know I can pinpoint how they've prepped, and I know that he is living with no regrets in regards to how he's worked all the way to this point. And so I'm very excited for him.
Sorry, speaking of knee injury, Markel Reed, what have you seen from him? And obviously he won that spot. And I know some of those guys say it takes them half the season or whatever coming off the injury until they feel 100%. I mean,
Yeah.
He looked 100% to you? Or?
He's looked awesome. Obviously, early in fall camp was when there's a progression when these guys come off a big injury like he had last year. But it's been awesome to see him little by little get to where he is now. And he's moving at a very high level, playing at a high level. So it took a little bit in fall camp just because of being smart with him, making sure the progression was the right way. But Markel Reed's playing at a very high level right now.
You talked to Jackson Cravens last week, and he told us how many double teams he takes on all the time, and he had bruises and handprints all over his neck. I mean, just from a mentality standpoint, what does it take to play nose?
Oh, any position on defense, it takes mentality, right? And that's what we talked to him. Every player from the nose guard to the corner that it takes that. But up front, I mean, it's an absolute dogfight every single snap. And getting our guys to understand that. Also, the big thing we try to do is understand how one piece affects another. If a nose guard is not doing his job, it is going to affect the corner at some point. But there's different run fits that happen where if everybody does their job, it's going to be the corner who has to make the tackle. And so, but up front, I mean, from our noses and our D tackles, I mean, being able to have the mentality and the violence to play up there is everything. And Coach Miley does a great job with those guys, and they've done a great job this fall camp.
That nose, they're really just eating up blockers. They don't get much of the glory. I mean, does it take a kind of special person to do that play in and play out?
It does, and at the end of the day, our defense is going to be built. It all starts with stopping the run, and obviously that starts up front. And seeing those guys grow in their fundamentals and their techniques for this offseason, and Coach Miley's done a great job with them. I'm excited to see them put on a show this Saturday. Now, at the end of the day, just like anything I tell them, the beautiful part about defense, unlike offense, is you don't call plays to give someone the production. It could be anybody at any time. And so just building it into that team defense is not one guy making a tackle. I'm here to take up blockers. But it depends on what play we're getting. That could be that situation. So I'm just excited for those guys. But it does take a different mentality to play nose guard and D tackle. There's no question.
I know you got some versatility and experience at linebacker, but you look at that Mike position. Is Marco Notary, he's really the first guy off the bench at that position?
Marco's, yeah, excuse me, guys. Marco's had a great fall camp, and very similar to DJ, Zeke, like some of these guys that have been here and that played really well, is his football IQ is very high, and he does a great job in how he studies. Obviously, he's a redshirt freshman. Hasn't really played in any games, so there's going to be some jitters. There's going to be a lot of that. But how he preps, he's a 4.0 student. He's handled his business. And so now it's just going to be getting him ready for the stress that happens when this is the first game that I'm potentially going to play.
You're going into another year as Boise State defensive coordinator. I mean, it was just a decade ago you were still like a linebacker.
Yeah.
Like, your LinkedIn is still online with you and Matt Brown. Do you ever like look back at your ascent in this journey and kind of, relive it all?
That's a great question. I think just for me, I mean, just like anything, I really believe that, the days are long, the years are short. Time has flown. I mean, this is my 6th season at Boise State, and it's a dream job for me. I love being here. And the reason it is for me is because I literally, absolutely love these kids. Every player that walks in here, I care about them deeply. And so that's what makes it a dream job for me is because of these players. And I wouldn't trade it for the world, like being able to see them. And that's the work that we put in as a D staff, the hours and what you do is because you want them to receive, you want them to reap the benefits of their hard work. It's not just to look good on, it's okay, I want you to know what it feels like to work your tail off when no one's looking and then reap the benefits. I mean, that's why we do what we do. So, no, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm very thankful to be in the spot I am. Love this place, and the reason that it's so special to me is because of our players.
You know, kind of like Rodney Robinson, obviously a big character. And I'm just curious, like, where does you know, swag, confidence, like, how does that play into your defense?
Oh, no question. You have to have confidence when you play defense. You have to. The biggest thing that we tell our players and all the time is there is a fine line between being cocky and confident. To me, confidence is created through your preparation. So you can go on the field and feel and have a swagger about yourself, a high level of confidence, because you know when that guy moves, you know exactly what play's coming, right? That's confidence. You can communicate it, you can see it, you can do it. And that's what we want to breed into our guys, because you need that. You do not want to be on your heels and, oh gosh, I hope I know what I'm doing. But if you don't prep the right way and you don't know the scheme and you don't know what's coming, you won't be able to play with that confidence or swagger, as people might say. Different. Cocky's you're just assuming. You're just hoping you're going to go out there and play the game, which at this level, you won't be able to do.
Thanks, Spencer.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks, Ed.
Hold me that. Hold me to that.
Thanks, man. Good afternoon. Sure we have no questions, nothing to talk about. Be nice and quick, yeah?
We'll on the sideline again this year, Coach?
Yes, sir. Be on the sideline.
Tim, we see Taylor Green's there at number 2 quarterback. What do you do to win that job?
You know, it's always the same things. Who's the most consistent from day in and day out, not only on the field, just their process and how they prepare every day. And, you know, can they move the field consistently with the orange group and the blue group? And doesn't matter, you know, what guys are in there with them. Who can be more consistent. I thought both guys had a great camp. It was a tight competition. But Talon had a great camp, and we're excited about where he's going for sure. And Sam.
What impressed you most about Sam this offseason?
I just think how it's not an easy situation to come from another program, and you show up in the spring, and you got to try to become a part of the environment quickly, get to know guys. I think he did a great job being a good teammate and learning the system and becoming an integral part of the quarterback room. And again, he had a great camp too. We definitely have a good amount of depth at that position, which we all know is important. So, but in the competition, someone's got to win the competition, and Talon had a great camp, and so he'll be the number 2.
When you look at, I asked about this before, but how do you, with his skill set, Talon's skill set, and his speed, and what he can do, and his timing, do you envision him having a role or playing in a lot of these games?
Yeah, I think that's always something every week that we got to look at as a staff. Is you know, he's one of the fastest guys on the team, one of the more athletic guys on the team. We want to use every guy possible to score as many points as we can to try to help our team win. So if that involves putting him in there, we'll do it. But at the same time, we have to prepare him to be the backup too. So he's going to have to know the whole game plan. And then if we're going to have separate things for him, we'd have to learn that too. So that's a lot to put on a young kid too. So we're going to do what's best for the team, obviously, and what's best for his development.
Where do you see Green's biggest improvements from last year?
I just think his, you know, the program he came from just didn't do a lot of the things we asked them to do here quarterback-wise, handling protections, handling the run game, checking things at the line of scrimmage. So a lot of those things just were foreign to him, so it just took him a little bit of time to get comfortable with that. And he's not a real loud communicator. Very intelligent kid, gets along with everyone on the team, good leader, but he just had to get comfortable communicating, you know, at the line of scrimmage and getting everybody on the same page. And he's taken huge strides there. Couple that with how athletic he is and how dynamic he is throwing the ball, and all those things start coming into place. So. We talked to you a little bit about this at the beginning of camp with Hank, now that he has as an offensive coordinator for the second straight year finally for the first time in his career. Considering you spent a bunch of time with Hank over the last month, what do you enjoy most about your guys' connection, relationship? And then how much is that has time allowed kind of the intuitive thing he's seeing what you want him to see played into this? Yeah, I think number one, I really enjoy
the relationship I have with Hank and coaching him and mentoring him has been a pleasure the last year and a half, on 2 years now. He's a really talented guy, really cares about this team, really cares about doing what he can do to help the team win. And sometimes he puts a lot of that on his shoulders. I think he's done a great job this camp of simplifying things for himself, focusing on doing his job, his role, taking it one play at a time. We were fortunate enough to have Russell Wilson come talk to our team a little bit. He got to spend time with him, and I think that had a lasting impact on him, on just what it means to be a leader, what it means to be a true quarterback, and not living and dying on every play. So I think he's done a good job of focusing on that every day at practice, and he's had some really good days out there. And I think when he's had a play or two not go his way, which against this defense is going to happen, I think he's done a great job bouncing back and having a positive response to that. So I think he's grown a lot as a player and a leader. Expect him to have a great year.
Have you noticed, we know last year that he was battling an injury for the last 2 months of the season. Have you noticed there a difference now that he's healthy again with the way that he can move?
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone that doubts Hank's toughness, I would question. Right? I mean, he's one of the tougher guys I've ever been around. You play 8 or 9 games with the injury he had. I think that shows his commitment to the team and how tough he really is. But yeah, he's 100% healthy, feeling a lot better. He can even running around out there. I think he feels confident in his ability to escape the pocket and create plays and use his feet now, use his legs. So he's in a good place.
The offensive line, we talked a lot about it, but just with Kikani back and Cade over at the right tackle, how much better are they going to be? And then how's that, easy question, how's that going to help the offense?
Yeah, I mean, everything starts with Kikani. I could probably spend all my time talking about how important of a player he is, just what he brings to our offense, the confidence he brings, the knowledge he brings, the experience he has. It's been awesome watching him just lead our group. So just having him back, you guys know we had, I think, 4 guys play center last year, and that's not a position you want to be rotating guys a lot. And just having him back, he's kind of the anchor there of our offense, and it's been awesome to see that connection between him and Hank. They're really close, so I think that's really good. Cade's probably one of the bigger additions we've had on our entire team, I would venture to say, just because of the experience he has, just how he's entered our environment so seamlessly. He's a leader. I think he's a really talented player, not pass game and run game. I think he's fit in well with what we're doing. So I'm excited to have him be a part of it for sure. He's going to help us.
What do you see as the strengths of Oregon State's?
I think one of the more impressive things is, their defense really midway through the season had to make a pretty significant shift, and to be able to do that in a short amount of time, just from a coaching standpoint, really impressed by their staff and what they were able to do. So I think that just speaks to the type of guys they have on the staff, type of teachers they are. They got good, strong players at all 3 levels. I think the secondary is extremely talented, especially at corner. Got some guys that have got some length and good athleticism that'll make plays on the ball. Got some experience at linebacker, and some guys up front that'll cause some havoc on us. So it's going to be a tremendous challenge.
You brought up the Russ came in at the top. What was your reaction when you found out that he was in town and available to talk to the guys in your room?
Yeah, I thought that was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Tried to get a hold of as many guys in our leadership that I could, just to say, hey, this is, you talk about quarterbacks in the NFL, there's 32 teams. Most of them only have 2, right? So there's 64 guys that do that at that level. And of those 64 guys, there's 10 that do it at an elite level. And of those 10, there's 3 or 4, right? I mean, there's more brain surgeons, there's more astronauts than there are professional quarterbacks. These are elite people. If you have a chance to talk to one, you should take good notes, ask great questions, and he's one of the best to ever do it. I think that was a rare opportunity. And obviously I have a good relationship with the head coach at Denver, so I was just shooting him a text beforehand, like, hey, what should we ask him? He's like, you try to trap him in there as long as you can, because he's as good as it gets. So it was a rare opportunity.
Wide receivers, how they look during camp, and how confident are you in that group?
Love that group. I think obviously you lose Shaq and people want to talk about how you're going to replace him. I think I spoke on this before. Just, you're not going to replace Shaq, but what you guys are going to see is, the first Steph Cobbs and the first Billy Bowens and the first Latrell Caples and That list goes on and on with guys that we're excited about. So I know they're chomping at the bit to go. Real competitive group. Coach Miller's done a great job. I expect those guys to make some plays for sure.
Andy made it a note of saying how he thought Latrell has grown maturity-wise as a person, and that's led to maturity on the field in the last year. Have you noticed something similar?
Yeah, my first month there, Latrell said one word to me maybe, because I think he's just a quiet guy that is, you got to earn trust with people. And that makes sense. But now that he's become more comfortable with the staff and more comfortable with his role and what he's doing, he is a tremendous competitor. One of the best competitors I've been around. And I know he's been battling injuries the past couple years, and he's feeling really healthy right now. He's going to be a big part of what we do, not only this year but years to come. He's a very talented player and a great competitor, and I think he'll be a leader going forward. Yeah, every game will have an opening script. That's just, part of the West Coast system I grew up in. So there'll always be an opening script that you work on during the week to try to get off to a good start, and then also try to gain information, which is what most coordinators do nowadays.
What's the game plan for Ashton in terms of, will it be kind of a pitch count? Will he come in every 4 series? Will he just spell George every now and then? I mean, how do you plan to handle that?
Mike, don't say the word pitch count. That's the word that just gets me. Too many pitch counts last year. No, there's no pitch count. Obviously, George is going to carry our offense, and I think everyone that knows us, that's what it's going to start with him. But it's great to have a guy that can come in and bring some electricity and be a guy that can change things quickly. So a lot of the things George can do, Ashton can do already at that age, which is tremendous. But again, he's a young guy. We can't forget that he's a freshman, and we're going to have to build his confidence as the season goes. But that's going to be quite the 1-2 punch with those two guys.
Last year was ABB as a goal line back, not having that this year. I mean, some of those, we could argue that the goal line carries are most important carries a running back can have. I mean, is the plan to have George be that type of bell cow like this program's had in the past, where you have guys who score 20-plus touchdowns in a season?
Yeah, I think a lot of that last year had to do with that word that Mike mentioned earlier that I don't want to repeat. So we were trying to, sometimes we only could play George a certain amount of plays. I mean, about 80% of the games last year, we had, we couldn't play him the entirety of the game. We had to keep a certain play count. And those were times where we could say, you know what, this guy's really good at this. That's a way for us to save these play numbers for George. But we're not taking George out of the game unless we have to. Right, that he's one of the best players, I think, in the conference, and if we need to get a yard, very confident George can do that.
He's listed at punt returner. Are you going to be cringing every time he goes to catch a punt?
No, I'm going to hope I can get a good spot on the sideline. Anytime.
How do you balance that, though, between wanting to get your best players the ball and wanting to keep them healthy?
Yeah, I don't think you can go in there with any fear about that, right? Like, you want your best players to touch the ball as much as possible. So if he's the best punt returner, that's one more opportunity for him to have the ball in space. I say, have at it. Let's go do it.
Where's the red zone offense better? I know you focused on that. Maybe specifically, where do you feel like you're better, more comfortable in?
I just think we've tried to, simplify things with the entirety of the offense, Mike. Like, not only just the red zone area, but I think in the entirety of what we're doing, how can we do things better, the things that we do well? So I think we took a large look at the things we did well down there and tried to continue those things. But to be good down there, you got to be able to run the football. And I think our run game is going to improve, and that's going to help us down there as well. So I think it's just, if you want to score points down there, you got to be able to run the ball, and then you got to win matchups. And I feel a lot better about our chances of doing that.
You said you wanted to get the tight ends more involved, but how do you actually do that?
Well, I think you got to look again at what fits their skill set. I think last year with the unhealthiness of the O-line and the inconsistencies we had there, we had to use the tight ends in protection much more than I had done in the past, or we had done in the past. I think we feel better about that now. But again, finding out the routes that they fit within the scheme, and was happy with the scrimmages we had in fall camp with the amount of touches those guys got. And we just got to find different ways to get those guys the ball, especially Riley, who is a matchup for us that we can use. And our hope is that we can get his touches up and get that whole group some more opportunities.
You mentioned, we've taken
I don't know if I don't envision going past those two guys, but I would say this: our running back depth has grown tremendously in this camp, and KB's done a great job with those guys. Because Crow had a good camp, and I think Fato coming over here, he had a good camp, and to be honest, Caden Dudley was a real bright spot of camp for us. That transition was awesome for him, and he did a great job with it. So I know we came into camp thinking, I know we have George, Tyler's played a little bit, but I feel a lot better about where the depth is there, not only just those two guys, but yeah, at the same time, like I said before, why would we take George out of the game if we don't have to? And if we're taking him out, we feel like we have a pretty unique, special talent behind him that'll do some good things too. So those two guys are healthy. They're going to play a lot. But I would say, I want to say again that the guys behind them had great camps and would be shocked if they don't contribute in some way this season for us.
So if you look at last year with all you guys dealt with, it seemed like at times you were almost protecting your weaknesses more than trying to play to your strengths. And you talk about how much you've learned and grown over the last year. You know the standards of Boise State. What's your level of anticipation to get another crack at this thing in year two?
Yeah, I think I come to work every day just like last year with the same mindset. Like I'm very grateful, and I try to find joy every day with whatever comes my way, whether that's criticism or whether that's praise. That's not going to change my thought process on a day in, day out basis, and I want the players to be that way too. So I'm very grateful to be here, grateful that when the season ended and things didn't go the way we wanted to offensively, that Andy had faith in me and believes in where we're going offensively. So I'm looking forward to just having this group play with confidence and play with joy together, and where that leads us. Hopefully it's to scoring lots of points and winning games. But I definitely think, the first year transition, you got to go through some things sometimes, figure out, your place and how things work, and, get your family in order. And there's a lot of things you don't really think about when you're making that move, that now that we're here and proud to be here and grateful to be here, I think we're going to have some good days for sure.
You and Demario Warren were college teammates. What do you remember about him as a player?
Let's see, what can I share on this Demario is a very unique guy. I'll try to keep it short, but I used to always joke that, he was the running back when I was the quarterback, so I used to have to tell him all the time what to do. Like, hey, you have the mic, you got to go block that guy, or hey, we're running this play. And then all of a sudden he became a head coach. And I remember thinking, well, I told him everything he needed to know in college, and he gets to be a head coach. How does that work? But you think about a guy that went to Southern Utah and coached defensive backs and then special teams and then recruiting coordinator, and stayed there all the way through, 14 years to become a head coach and win a conference title, and at a place that's difficult to win. I just think he's a fantastic man, good father, good husband. And so the friendship that we built as players, we talked almost every week, and so it's pretty cool to have him down the hall now.
You want to share one of those locker room stories?
Nope, I don't. Yeah. Yep.
Is the stash here to stay?
Yeah, players said you got to grow it now. Kids said you had to grow it now, so we're all in. He won't be involved in the game.